You know, the truth is that the Peace Corps got me out of a very deep, dark hole. And, you know, I'd been raised in a very conservative, middle-class way. And I never had much independence of thought when I was young. So I was the good boy who did what the teacher told him to and expected to be rewarded for it. I'd gotten as far as an MA, and, you know, I was miserable. I was convinced I was a failure, and I didn't want to go any further, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And along came this chance to be a hero, right? And get out of the system in a way nobody could criticize. And it was a lifesaver for me. You know, you got your troubles with booze. I've got a fundamentally depressive personality. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Prozac ultimately saved my life, but I didn't have any crutch like that then.
Should have tried the whiskey, man. It's
and you know, and the Peace Corps was an honorable retreat from the treadmill of middle class careerism. And here we're in a situation where they say, okay, you're going to go to a foreign country. We got a job for you. Here's how you do the job. Just run out there and develop the community. Wow, that's finite. I like this. It really saved me.
I was amazed when I got selected. I didn't think I was going to make it through Rutgers. I could see a lot of good reasons why they shouldn't have sent me. And they couldn't figure it out, so I figured I'd put one over them. Now I had to go and, you know, and make it happen. But
the biggest change it made in my life was giving me a sense of some sort of self-confidence that I never needed to depend on jobs and security in my life. I ended up leading a life that
the envy of us all.
Yes.
Didn't have any, you know, I can't say, well, I had a career. I mean, I did all sorts of things.
I would follow your career here in Mexico, Argentina, Chile, back and forth, and there I'm slogging away at some damn thing, and there he's on a boat. Then we have to visit you on your boat, and you live on a houseboat there in Seattle. Just perfect, you know. There's the houseboat floating up and down, and he's got his sailboat. Well, I sailed the San Juans, and I sailed up here, and I sailed. When the hell do you ever work? Well, you know, it just sort of comes from heaven somehow or another. And, you know, great lifestyle. Why can't we do this? Well, I wasn't smart enough to figure it out.
And Ira could sell 2 or 3 of these things that he owns and never have to work again, but he loves it. So, you know, we do what we'd like to do.
I grew up with a family where the depression is just around the corner. You know, it's going to happen again. And we're going to be, if we don't have enough in the closet like the Mormons, we're going to be in bad shape. So I just can't do this, Bruce. You know, I can't go up and raise sheep.
But, you know, I never really get a chance to ask you point blank, you know, what is the satisfaction in your life at this stage? Where's it heading?
Not being dead.
Yeah. Huh? The only thing that I fear about death is that of all the stuff I'm going to miss.
That's right.
You know, the 60th or the 70th, some overweeningly pompous drooler is up there on stage representing, probably to this guy, representing Columbia One and making a fool of themselves. How many people in the world have a group like this? I mean, Army veterans, Peace Corps veterans. There can't be anybody else, can there? A lot of people last night said they were going to their 50th high school reunion. Well, most of them haven't been back in 40 years, and we do this all the time. We've got an email web that's 100%, and we are famous. I mean, people I've never seen before. I remember standing in that hotel in D.C. for the 40+1. Somebody came up, some couple late, oh, Columbia One. I'd never seen this woman before in my life. But she knew.
The community development skills just sort of don't leave you, dude.
I mean, I've got the Cubs, I've got the Peace Corps, and and I've got my New York Times crossword puzzles. And what else does anybody need?
They're friendships that are different from any others I've ever had.
Absolutely.
Why is that? What
Well-
makes our friendship different?
Because of the unique set of circumstances that brought us together.
At a time in our lives.
Yeah, I think it's the time.
I always tell everybody that even the training in Rutgers to me was an adventure. That's before I even got to Columbia. I was talking to Ron about it because I'd never experienced that kind of exposure to certain kinds of disciplines. Mine had all been technical and scientific, and then to start hearing about anthropology and the history and the politics of Colombia. And also the dynamics of that experience at Rutgers, where the tension kept building, you know, as we got closer to selection time. It just made such an impressive impression upon me, greater than any of the university experiences I ever had. And then the actual thing in Colombia, it was an adventure. You know, we were los hijos de Kennedy. And by the time I got back to Colombia in '67, we were hijos de something else. By then. And instead of having a red ribbon for the volunteers at the airplane, they were asked to give urine samples. The volunteers arriving.
Really?
They really were. You know.
Before we become archaeological relics, where there's still some social and cultural anthropology about us, it'd be interesting to see what other people would be curious to ask about who we are.
I could imagine us getting together and having some very interesting sort of smaller group discussions about whether we did or didn't sort of find our Joseph Campbell bliss, and you know whether there's still time to find it. I mean, it's a little bit formal, but I think
Good try. You know, we will. You know. My son, you are safe.
While I would see that as part of something, because it may be fun to do as well, and a good way of just spending time together. The missing link is the failure to move forward in terms of the assumptions of foreign policy remain closer to what they were in the 50s than what Kennedy had envisioned. And one statement that I remember from the meeting in the White House was unbelievably clearly that he saw the Peace Corps as the vehicle for having a group of Americans who had a much broader perspective, harvesting the experience, both in the Peace Corps and then post-Peace Corps, in terms of actually reformulating and restructuring foreign policy in a way that is, let's say, consistent with American values, at least as we as identify them.
I think that we all had the hope that in addition to whatever impact we could have on a place like Colombia, that we would be making America a better place when we came back.
We've been an absolute failure.
Well, I wonder. Frankly, the best way we could be of assistance to any other country in the world is to change this one. But what have we done that's effective on a local level? You know, who have we reached?